It's also really warm song.
Yeah,
Like
that's very interesting how that came out. That's an old text. It's very strange how things come together. I mean, you know, like people ask, oh, does the music come first or does the text come first? And it often doesn't work as simply as that. To be perfectly honest with you, how that came about was the idea for that, or part of the idea for the text of that, was I was on tour in 2002 with Madouche, Andy Bell, and the electronic kind of lineup, and we were driving through by Munich, and we pulled over to a gas station, you know, to fill up with fuel, and everyone's just sitting in the bus, hanging around, and in the distance we saw this sign for Dachau, which was the concentration camp from the wartime, and I just, as we were chatting, we said, oh, has anybody ever visited there? Have you been there? And I'd been there many years ago, I think back in 84, 85, something like that. And Madouche was saying she'd been there when she was here on tour. I don't know when it was, but some years ago. And we were just sort of describing the experience of it, of walking around there, and she said what was so impressive for her is that, yes, you go in there and you see the history and the story and the individual, but she said it wasn't until she came out and walked in the grounds around, and she said she could feel in every blade of grass. I mean, Madouche has this amazing way sometimes of just being focused onto something, and I don't know, I mean, she's been a very big inspiration for me, as well as being a great friend. She's often coming out with just these remarkable, incredible little lines or comments that really stick in my psyche, you know, my head. And she just said, she got very upset about it because it brought back lots of memories for her from being there, but she said she felt in every blade of grass all the suffering and what had happened there. And then we drove off from the fuel station and continued. But that line, that particular each blade of grass, you know, it just really stuck in my head, because yeah, often we look at history and different events and things, and you know, we walk through museums or we read books, but it can often be the smallest detail, the smallest thing that will have the biggest impact, you know, make the biggest impression. So part of it was from that, and really, yeah, again, it was about anger. And I mean, I grew up in a family full of anger for whatever reasons, where there was constant fighting and very aggressive situations, and yeah, I've spent a lot of my adult life trying to channel that out in different ways and get rid of it, really. So it's about dealing with anger, and again, it's for me, a very positive, a new morning, a new day, you know, a new way of looking at the world, and trying to change things and make things hopefully different and better.
Then we have a different song, totally different, If, which puts you in a total new direction, if I could.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is one of the very exciting things of meeting Manu, our chauffeur for today, a lovely chauffeur in the front, Manuel also known as Zabek, and also the singer in Underwater Pilots. As I said, you know, I'd lost so much interest in music during the 90s, and I was completely uninterested in it, really. I couldn't find anything that excited me or I really was impressed by. And then in 2003, I think it was, I was doing I think it's 2003, or it could have been 2004 or 2005. I'm not so good with dates, but I was doing a small reading tour around Germany for a book that I'd had published. Oh, I get a sign from Jeff, it's either the finger or a 4. No, it's a 4, 2004. And I was reading in Leipzig, and this person who reminded me very much of David Harrow in his approach, because, you know, I was working with musicians back in the early 80s, and again, this young guy just barged in and said, you need to work with me. That was David Harrow, you know. And in Leipzig, Manu appeared from the public there and gave his CD to me, and yeah, just made a very big impression on me and his being, really. And So I took the CD and listened to it, and I really loved it. This was the Zabek album, Zealandschiff, because it was exciting, stimulating, interesting. And so, yeah, we made a contact, and yeah, we communicated backwards and forwards, and Manu had this musical idea, and I was trying to think of a theme to fit it, and as we all know, that this awful, monstrous war that's been going on in Iraq was still raging away, and as I think most of us would accept, that was basically about oil and power and control of resources in the Middle East. And I also had a memory of when I was up in Scotland a few years ago, when I was travelling around there, driving around there, and there was suddenly this fuel strike. The delivery guys weren't delivering the fuel to the petrol stations, and it was only for a couple of days or one day a week. But I just remember driving up there in very remote parts of Scotland, and this panic, this total panic of people buying fuel. And that was just for like a 1 or 2 day strike, and I kind of thought, wow, if that's what happens when there's a strike, or what the hell is going to happen when things really start to run out? And basically it's about that, and I'm very curious about how I won't be here for sure, but I'm very curious about how the world will be, what will be left when we've completely drained the planet of every resource, when there is nothing left to burn. Or I'm just very curious about what will happen to us, and I'd like to believe and hope that after we've destroyed whatever it is we do, that there's again some kind of new beginning that will be like nothing that's ever been before. I don't know what, none of us can say. So it's really this post oil period, really. It's about
a more personal song. Well, it's very personal. No.
Yes, that's a very personal one. Yeah, that's my mother died in 2006, and yes, it's a song for her.
Okay. Good. Thank you.